So we're here with Chris Bexon, driver number 15 in the MaX5 Racing Championship. You've been in the championship for quite a while now. What is it that keeps you interested in it?
It's the buzz in it. It's just the buzz. You know, when you get on there and they get on the grid and you set off and your heart's pumping out your chest and you think, are we all going to get around this corner? You keep coming back.
Okay. Now,
so, yeah, I've been doing it since 2012.
Okay. So, and you've been in the Mark 1 a lot before. This is your first year with the Mark 3.
First year. Yeah.
How have you been finding the cars comparing to each other?
The car's quicker. It's more refined, but it's a little bit more snatchy. So when you go into a corner, if you're not ready for it, she'll bite. Whereas the Mark 1, you could get away with it, mid-corner, correct it, and you'd be on your way. But as you saw on Redgate this morning, if you don't get it quite right, then you've got a big problem on your hands. But we're getting used to it, we're getting quicker, but not as quick as I like to be today. But it'll be a good race, you know, because there's lots of cars that are close together. So it should be a good race.
It seems to be general progression, that, because the Mark 4 seems even worse than the Mark 3.
Yeah, Paul's having issues with the Mark 4. I think there are issues with that car that he's struggling with. And I think the suspension at the back, there's a bit of electronic trickery on it that's not quite right. And then he's chewing, I think he's chewed a couple of gearboxes with it. So the gearbox is not as robust as the Mark 3, Mark 1, you know.
The Mark 4 is starting to become more publicly available.
Yeah.
Is that something that's going to interest you, maybe like next year or in a few years, you're going to look at getting one?
No, if I did, I'd be 6 foot deep in a box. Because my wife's been waiting for a kitchen for 4 years, right? And I seem to be driving this kitchen round the track. So if I do, that will be the end of my racing career if I go for a Mark 4, I think.
Fair enough. So we've got 29 cars with us today.
Yeah.
How much of a difference does that make when, like, compared to a race with 16, like at Mallory?
You know, if you've got 3 or 4 cars around you, it doesn't make any difference. Because you're not racing the cars that are ahead or the cars that are well behind you. You're racing that 4 or 5 that are near enough your lap time. So that's where your race is. And as long as there's a few cars around my lap time, which there is, we'll be okay. It'll be good fun. So that's what, you know, like Nick, once Nick gets ahead, he can find that he's a bit bored if there's nobody keeping up with him. So for Nick to have a good race, he'll need, like John Munro, those guys up his chuff, you know, to give him some push and then make it hard for him. Because there's nothing worse than when you're out there on your own.
And finally, the MaX5 attracts a lot of sort of first-time drivers.
It does, yes.
What would be your advice to someone who was looking at getting into the championship?
Buy yourself a decent car, Mark 1 or a Mark 3, that's maybe been in the championship for a while, that's well known. Do a couple of track days, 2 or 3 track days, get some tuition. The biggest key to this is tuition, and you have it early on. Because if you start making mistakes, you can cause a danger to you, everybody else, and even the marshals if you make a bad mistake. So get some tuition, you know, and continue with the tuition through your racing career. Just because, you know, you can teach an old dog new tricks, you know, you can.
Okay, so some priceless advice there. That was Chris Bexon, driver car number 15. Thank you.